And just like that, they buy it. They eat it up. You pander to them, you thank them. I mean, really, people, I thought you were a little bit smarter than that. I mean, it's just so easy to say the name of the city. You cheer.
Hey, Stephanie, Stephanie,
you cheer. I mean, just come on.
Welcome to the A Show.
Welcome back to the A Show. It is episode 102. Man, it's been a crazy week. This is probably like one of the biggest weeks of all time in wrestling. I think this is definitely like in the last 20 years, the biggest period of wrestling that I've ever lived through, honestly.
Yeah, it's pretty up there. It's
pretty up there. Are you serious?
It's up there. It's really this might be the most like significant week in all of professional wrestling history.
Yeah, we have a show that is going to debut on network television on Friday. And you know what? You know what else is
Wait, first of all, SmackDown was on network television before. I mean, yes, it's a little, it also shared the same channel as like the Parkers and Moesha.
And Homeboys in Outer Space.
Oh, and what else was on UPN? Oh my God. Matt and something. I forgot. Whatever. Nonetheless, it's back. It's back.
Very much so. I mean, there's so many things that are happening, but I think the most important thing is that our new schedule starts this week.
100%. If you're listening to this is the A Show episode 102, and we are officially starting. We are officially Wednesday boys. We are here.
Yes.
We've made the decision that we are coming out every Wednesday at 11 a.m. as opposed to Thursday. So I think besides this week, you'll get your news as Friday starts your week, then maybe a pay-per-view or wherever it's in between, and then Raw, and then whatever else happens on Monday night or Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah. I mean, I'm cool with it. It's the first week, so I gotta see. We gotta really see.
Obviously, that pregnant pause, by the way, is like the most chilling, unsure way that you've ever like think. He's like, he really thought about it. He was like, "Yo, we're really starting on Fridays now." Like,
yeah, I know. I was bugged out. I was like, I was actually looking at the calendar, and I was like, wow, we've done this for 2 years, and we've stuck to this, Wednesday to Thursday schedule. But not only that, we're going to have to be watching a show on Friday. Are you going to watch SmackDown on Saturday or Friday?
First of all, with this thing, I can watch SmackDown at my leisure currently.
True.
So Saturday, Sunday doesn't really matter. As long as we get to Tuesday and we're ready to record, I think but I'm going to try my best. I mean, I'm definitely watching this Friday. I will definitely be somewhere available to watch this on Friday. But yeah, man, I mean, because it's the big show. It's the big network television show, man. Come on. I got to be there for the first one.
Yeah, man. We are we're barreling through pretty much to the end of the year in wrestling as well, and we have some pretty big news stories, in lieu of everything. Before we even start, this Hell in a Cell card, we're gonna attempt to predict what's going on, but at the moment of us actually doing this show, there are only 3 matches announced for it.
Hey, I mean, I'm not mad. If it ends up being a takeover special, I'm not mad. But yes, Hell in a Cell with only thus far, as of Tuesday afternoon, October 1st, only 3 advertised matches. So we'll try our best. We'll predict what we can predict, and then whatever happens throughout the week, we'll let you guys know what we think, I guess, via Twitter or something.
I think it's a big selling point where the pay-per-view has 3 matches, and a show that's happening on the 31st of this month has 1 match announced already.
Hey, that shows you where their priorities lie for the so-called Hell in a Cell, right?
Le bag,
Um,
le bag.
yes, the bag is always it's Saudi bag season as well. But you know what? Before as we continue this, and shout out to everyone who listened to the episode last week as we got through our like kind of quick thing. But I think we should get into the no holds barred because I don't. Will this be another? This might be another a doozy as of a quick episode.
Yeah, and you know what? I gotta give all of the thanks to Meals. These past 2 weeks have been. Last week I had a listening party for Wale's new album to go to, and I wasn't going to be able to be home on the night. And this week, uh, we'll talk about this week a little bit later. But yeah, I got to thank Mills for helping out here and taking over the duties for me these past 2 weeks. I will be back at regular capacity next week for sure.
Yes, 100% sure. But with that, you know what? I think I'll also. Here's what I'll do. I'll take the reins on sort of the programming of the show, and you do color this time. I'll go through
cool.
the news.
Yeah, I mean, cool.
I'll go through the news, so you'd be leisure. But our first bit of news is John Morrison. And we were trying to figure out his name before the show started of like what he was actually called, like the Sultan of Abs or like the what was he called? What was
the shaman? It was the shaman of sexy.
The shaman of sexy. Yo, you're right.
Yeah.
I hate Matt Stryker. Was rumored last week to be returning to the WWE, even so much as people thought this Monday that he might actually return, given the events that happened on Monday Night Raw.
And let's be clear. That would have been a better stinger at the end than what we got.
Do you think?
Yes.
I mean, maybe.
Absolutely.
Thus far, it's been refuted by John Morrison, who's gone on Twitter himself, who's like, you dirt sheet boys, just let me know where else I'm signed to, if I'm signed to AEW or anybody else or Impact or anything. Thus far, he seems to still be a free agent, but would you be excited for a John Morrison return to the WWE, quite honestly?
If it was in NXT, absolutely, but they're stacked there. Raw isn't as stacked as SmackDown is right now, I'd say. I think if they're going to pull the Morrison chip, it'll be like a Shelton Benjamin returns type thing after the draft or during the draft. I honestly think he'd go to Raw. He'd be a perfect foil for Ricochet. They worked together before in Lucha Underground. I think this would be a really great way for Ricochet to kind of get a rub over somebody that's established as he moves on, because they haven't really put Ricochet out of the picture yet. But I think they want to get him over more established guys, and I think John Morrison is definitely that.
I think John Morrison has done, quite honestly, probably better than anyone has ever anticipated in a career that he left WWE. He had to be, over. He left WWE in 2012. So late 2009. Late 2011. He left WWE then. He's gone on to be Lucha Underground, Lucha Libre, Impact, all types of things, all independent sort of things, and he's gone to do much more than he did. But in terms of if he returned to WWE, I mean, I'm good on that. Nah, man,
you don't like it?
Nah, he's a little mad at me.
I do think, I don't know if you've seen the Lucha Underground stuff and even the Impact stuff, which I thought was absolutely really, really good. The stuff that I did see from him on Impact, I thought that he kind of utilized his style and broke off into a really cool type of. He wasn't like the regular WWE guy that goes into the indies after it's over, where he works the same style of match. He actually kind of extended his style to work different types of matches. And
Parkour.
Hey, he's one of the most athletic guys today.
Come on, man. The guy has legitimately looked the same for the last decade. There's been no, to me, even if it has been in terms of changing up the style, there has been no attempt to sort of evolve the person that he is. He's just changed his last name wherever the hell he's went. To me, that's not a true mark of an actual superstar I kind of want to get behind. Someone who evolves and someone who's an actual person and metamorphosis and stuff like that. He's just the same old John. He gonna come back in the same old smelly pants he wore 10 years ago.
Wow.
And just do the same old smelly furry, pants that he came back 10 years ago, and he gonna do the same thing.
Wow. How you know the pants smell, bro?
I just know it's the same pants. It's the same pants for the last decade. It's gotta be.
John Morrison, hit us up, John Morrison. Let us know if the pants still smell.
Up next, we have actually something that's been long form, probably something that's been going on as long as this podcast has been going on, and that is the CM Punk Colt Cabana back and forth feud legally. It's finally come to an end. It is.
Yeah.
It is a wrap. It took 102 episodes of this show, but it is finally a wrap. CM Punk and Colt Cabana settled their respective lawsuits. In August of 2018, Colt Cabana sued Punk for $200,000 in legal fees associated with their court case from the Dr. Ammon case of, what was it?
2014, 15?
2014-15. Yeah. I'm saying in terms of going on the podcast, the Art of Wrestling podcast,
Oh, yeah.
disparaging
That was
his entire deal. CM Punk countersued for $600,000. He was like, "Oh, word." In June of this year, for general damages and legal fees associated with him that cost him $1.2 million. These both jointly filed for the case to be dismissed. So the friendship is over, the case is over, everything is kind of over. You can see both kind of going their separate ways. CM Punk commented on the case on Twitter now that it's over, which I could not see because I am blocked. So I'd have
I don't know how I'm not blocked yet by him.
None of his stupid ass fanboys have added him in any of the comments that you said. So.
Oh, okay.
He said he was responding to whatever, I guess some angsty wrestling fan on Twitter. He says, "Why did he ask to settle then? I wanted it to go to trial, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, enjoy donating to the eventual Woe Is Me GoFundMe account. He sued me. He wanted to end the dumb shit he started. I asked to speak to him. He declined. I asked to enter mediation. He declined. I offered money. It wasn't enough. I never wanted to do any of it. He's as greedy as you are, ignorant to who I am, and fooled by who he is. I love the guy, would have done anything for him. And the irony is, if he would have just asked me for the money, I would have given it to him. Instead, he tried to extort me."
Ooh. Funny he did that on Twitter.
Yeah.
To like some rando.
I guess he's trying to clear his he's really trying to like just clear this entire thing. I think this has been something, I mean, for pretty much to the last almost damn near 5 years since that podcast came out. He's been trying to go back and forth and having to deal with the situation. He's finally just, he's reached the point and he's like, "Yo, I really want to be done with this." So wrap it up.
He's been very talkative for the past couple months, don't you think?
I mean, I wouldn't know. I don't follow him on Twitter, but or rather, he blocked me. But he has. I mean, he's gone back ever since whatever happened last year with the two MMA fights that kind of really just kind of sank his ship. He's been trying to, I wouldn't say he's flirting back with wrestling because he still seems like he's done, especially after that sit down at StarCast. But he definitely has been a lot more in the conversation, a lot more in the know. There's been rumors as of late, big rumors. He may be on WWE's new Fox. What would you call it? A Fox talk show? Fox talk.
It's like a FS1 recap or rundown this weekend type show where they'll be talking about everything going on in the world of WWE.
Now, is this the same show with Renee and Booker?
Yes, that's the rumored idea, is that he was screen tested, and a lot of people screen tested for that show, and that Booker isn't I don't think he's the final host for that show. I think he's just filling in until they find the actual host for that.
Booker's going to really try to play it up to get that actual final spot.
Oh yeah, I think they'll keep him too. I think they'll give Booker like the Stephen A. Slot on that show.
Yeah, and then CM Kellerman over here doing the biz. But do you think it's possible? Do you think if you were CM Punk? Well, actually, I don't want to say if you were CM Punk because the bag is too.
I would have done a lot of things different.
I don't want to say if you were CM Punk, but do you think this is an opportunity? You think? I mean, if he's been screen tested, there's obvious some interest, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that there's more than what people are letting on. I think that things that Punk has said. He actually had an interview today where he said, would people really listen to me talk about wrestling anymore? I don't know. Like he wouldn't. He's very non-committal about it, and you could tell like. That's what they do, or that's what people that are about to be signed do when it's time to kind of sign on the dotted line. And I don't expect us to find out the answer to this week, but Punk did say that The Rock should call him on Friday. This SmackDown. He should call him again.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm gonna skip a bunch and then I'm gonna head back. But speaking of Friday night, The Rock, the People's Champion.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
yeah.
I called it down to the T, down to the extremely predictable Twitter and or Instagram post. Um, The Rock is coming this Friday on SmackDown. He's coming back to the show that he created. He's coming back to network television because, God forbid, he passes up the bag in LA and on network TV. No way. Nah, not at all. Um, I mean, we talked about it last week, but now it's confirmed. This has become the hottest ticket in town immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this again, we had the Raw Homecoming, we had all these weird Raw shows this year. I think this is gonna blow all of them out the water. Honestly, like this is gonna be like the biggest show they've done and ever on SmackDown for sure. Ever since like the first one or the one that Arnold Schwarzenegger showed up to.
Oh yeah, when Arnold Schwarzenegger slapped Triple H, that was one of the best. Legitimately, one of the most memorable moments of my life. He will not be the only one. I believe Stone Cold is supposed to appear. I believe Trish Stratus is definitely appearing. Sting returns to SmackDown. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I hope that I hope Seth finishes the job.
Oh my God. This is weird that I'm seeing. Okay, so I'm at CBS Sports and reading their card. It says this Friday on SmackDown. You know what? We'll get to the card, but it says the ladder match between Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon, which I guess I thought was at Hell in a Cell, is apparently happening on SmackDown this Friday.
Yeah, it's happening on SmackDown. Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Seems like something that should be at Hell in a Cell, but whatever. 3 matches. And also Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks and Bayley, the rematch of the MSG thing. And then we'll get to the WWE Championship match a little bit later in the card, a little bit later in the show. But I have to talk about some pretty pertinent news, I'd say, to you and a lot of people who listen to the show. Wale.
Yes.
Heading to NXT this week. Today.
Yeah, today.
Tonight. After you hear the show, it'll be Wale on NXT. He's supposed to be alongside Angela Dawkins and Montez Ford, who will be fighting for the NXT Tag Team titles against Undisputed Era, trying to take their belts back. Any thoughts? Any news?
Remember I said earlier that there was a second thing that would be happening this week that I needed Mills' help for. That is the second thing. I'm going to be in Orlando for NXT, one of their biggest episodes ever, the October 2nd episode, the episode everyone needs to be watching. I'm going to be there with Wale. We're going to be in attendance. I can't really reveal what's going on tonight, but I will.
After Monday night, don't let just on Brock Lesnar show up. Just hit the bricks, my guy.
Oh, I'm gonna try my luck. Yeah. So that's gonna be huge. I got the call a couple of days ago. Well, really, at the listening party last week, Wale was like, "Hey, we're going to Orlando," and I said, "All right, cool, let's go." And so we're gonna be there. Looking forward to seeing everybody out there. Cornell. Everyone that does so much hard work at NXT, and it's going to be a freaking blast. Wow. I can't wait for everybody to see what's going to happen, and I can't wait to see some of the stuff that I don't know about. So definitely watch NXT tonight. You might see me.
Wow, you do really want to work for WWE? I can't believe it. I mean...
Oh my God, I can't. I know, right? I shill.
What a shill! What did AEW invite you and Wale to? I mean, they didn't extend the invite to the show. I mean, it might be their loss.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they got money. I don't know.
Is it? I mean, their first show's in DC. I mean, I would have thought 1 and 2. Put them together.
That would have made so much sense, right?
Right.
For them to call him up. Yeah. But I mean, they might have like Florida Georgia line. Or something.
Then obviously they would have tased you when you reached the premises, and would have been immediately kicked out of the building.
No love for me. But speaking of NXT and AEW, we do have a brand new show that I think we can announce formally on this show that will be kind of taking over the slot that the A show used to occupy, and that is going to be the War Report with Cyrus and MJ. So we're expanding the call up into an AEW NXT show, and they will be covering the Wednesday night shows and all of the things in between. NXT UK. Anything happening out of AEW, they'll be talking about. And Congratulations to those two. I think they're going to do great. They just had an episode of Spot Callers with those two. I haven't got a chance to listen to it yet, but I think that we need to cover everything, and me and Mills can't do it all. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that they can.
This is an opportunity. I mean, we talk about the Monday Night Wars now, 20 years later, and there's so many podcasts about it, and there's so many articles about it, and there's so much, live shows where you got Eric Bischoff sitting down talking, drinking a coffee about whatever. This is our first time to sort of capture it in real time and capture these Monday Night Wars and Wednesday Night Wars between NXT and AEW and really determine, what was the better show that night? What had the better matches? Who was the superstar that stood out the most? I mean, and I'm talking superstar because I'm so formally trained by WWE, but who was the wrestler that stood out the most between both shows? I mean, this is a chance for us to capture it in real time, real commentary with real guys who are going to give you the real opinion on what they think. So I would stay tuned and then make sure you subscribe to the A Show feed and yeah, look out for the War Report. It's going to be it's a war.
Sure. I can't wait to hear what Cyrus has to say. If that is gonna be a real interesting show. I'll tell you that much.
That is very true. Speaking of a very interesting show, we have to talk about Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw's season premiere. I don't know what season they're on, but whatever.
Season like 200.
it's ridiculous amount. Monday Night Raw season premiere, and we usually don't talk about it on pay-per-view weeks, but due to the weirdness of this week. I mean, and also the bigness of the show. I mean, and bigness isn't even a word, but that's how you kind of describe this. Let's start off talking about Raw with how the show kicked off. Brock Lesnar brutalizing, truly living up to the name, living up to the as advertised. Brutalizing Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic. Was that one of the most... What a start to Raw.
I feel bad for Rey. I in the back of my head, I wanted to say this last week, but I was like, is this match going to happen? Like, I was really unsure about it happening. I didn't put two and two together because of course we both thought Brock and Seth wouldn't see each other ever again. So we thought that wouldn't happen. But I do like that they kept them apart on Monday. But I thought Dominic did an excellent job of taking these bumps.
I thought, it was a little bit shaky at first. Man almost fell. But, it is what it is. Nonetheless, yes.
Brock protected him, too. Brock really did protect him.
Yeah. I mean, Brock Lesnar, if you talk to Kurt Angle and a lot of other people who worked with him, is one of the most safer workers that you can be in the terrifying arms of.
Unless you're Braun Strowman.
Yeah, unless you're Braun Strowman where he just punches you in the side of the head. But even they're cool. But Brock Lesnar kicked off the show. Showed up to Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio was giving this promo. He's ready for his Universal Championship match. Rey Mysterio gets a little bit snippy. Gets a little bit, confrontational. And Brock Lesnar hands him his shit. And then
hands him the L.
And then looks at his son Dominic. Stares at him for a while. I don't know why he didn't run. Seems like
I would have been at the snack bar.
Oh
at
yeah.
that point.
Oh yeah. He looked like he wanted to try him. He was like, yo, how fast do I have to be to just run in the ring and pull my dad out and get? And
he acted the way that Mark does online.
I heard Mark got handed to him by Cornell. God damn.
Yeah. Oh my God, Mark. I didn't see the matches between Mark and Cornell. Of course, Cornell Gunter, who was on our 100th episode. I didn't see any of the match footage, but I heard that it was like 4 or 5-0. Cornell just destroyed Mark.
The smoke was completely brought. That's what it was.
Yeah, I was like, Mark, man, you supposed to represent.
I mean, hey, what are you gonna do? Cornell's a gamer. But yeah, Brock Lesnar, what does this mean overall, though? Do you feel like this is leaning into a Brock versus a Rey feud? Is that something you'd be interested in? Do you feel like this was just getting Brock ready for Friday Night SmackDown and the brutality he's going to deliver? What do you think is like, do you think there's an ulterior motive with this entire thing?
Well, it's kind of explained by Paul on the show. But he was saying, well, you booked him when he was in fight mode or something like that, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's pretty cool. So I think that was kind of explain, but I don't think that there's going to be a feud leading on it. I actually don't know where Ray is going. If they're leading this to like a Dominic Brock feud or something like that, like
No, not Dominic Brock. It's got to be Ray versus Brock. I wouldn't even be mad at that because it kind of seems like the way, I don't know, it kind of seems like if they choose to, have Kofi retain on SmackDown, it could be at the cost of Rey Mysterio. I mean, I think him sort of adding himself to this equation gives them kind of an out, depending on how you feel about that Friday Night SmackDown thing. But
yeah.
I feel like we're 100%. I think Rey Mysterio is probably the best he's been in the last 15 years. Brock Lesnar has not faced Rey Mysterio in quite some time. I think it's a fresh match, and I think it's also a match that probably will garner attention from eyes if they do choose to pull it off, maybe at a Hell in a Cell or a Survivor Series, or even what's the Saudi bag?
Crown Jewel.
At Crown Jewel. It could definitely.
But Brock's already taken for Crown Jewel.
Oh, who's he facing?
He's in the 5-1-5. I think he's on the same team. He's on team. Yeah, he's on Team Hogan, I think.
Nah, no way.
Yeah,
they haven't announced. I saw the poster, but I didn't see like. I didn't know if he was actually going to be on the team.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't. You know what? No. They haven't announced the full team yet. They haven't announced the full team. No, they haven't announced the full teams. WWE has their little graphic up, and they have so and so shaded in and so not shaded in. They haven't announced the full team. It would be wild if any of them showed up, and we'll talk about, the Crown Jewel a little bit later.
Are people upset about the team, though? Okay, I guess we'll talk about it later. People are
No, let's talk about it now. Let's talk about it now.
Yeah. Do people think that, like, Seth is somehow not... Like, let's unpack this Hogan thing, okay?
Sure.
In real terms.
Okay.
In real terms, right?
Yes.
So... people saw Seth as on Team Hogan. Was Seth supposed to say, no, I will not be on Team Hogan because I do not like what Hogan did a long time ago. I am somehow less fake, or I'm somehow more fake than I was before and not an ally because I had to do something that my job told me to do to a guy that, from everything that we know, I don't fuck with Hogan, but I'm saying, I'm playing devil's advocate here. He allegedly apologized to everybody. And again, we said the same thing with the Big E situation. Like, we don't know what was said,
right.
So I can't judge Big E for accepting his apology because I don't know what was said. So this is kayfabe. Like, what's the problem?
So I 100% agree with what you're saying. I don't think it's a little bit sad to see woke Seth #woke Seth. On the side,
he's not woke Seth.
I know he's not woke Seth, but you see woke Seth, like just like him in the loving embrace of Hulk Hogan. But
are they hanging out after the show?
I don't know. But here's the thing. You're. I think if you're in Seth's position, even if you did feel that way, I think you could 100% take a stand if chosen. Like, look at Daniel Bryan, who's just like, I'm not even stepping foot in Saudi Arabia, so don't even ask me to be on the show.
But that's a different situation, though.
But
like,
is it? Like, you don't agree with what this man says?
That is international.
But it's still part of the show. Like, it's still his job. Like, he's
Saudi Arabia and racist Hogan. Like, Saudi Arabia, that issue is... Okay, racism is a big issue. Okay,
yeah, racism. Yeah. Well,
it's a big issue. Let's just be clear. But I'm saying, like, in terms of WWE shit, they rehired this man in all of the hopes that he would get sensitivity training.
Right.
He would be more sensitive. He'd apologize to the African American wrestlers. Again, I don't know what conversation him and Seth had.
No, I have no idea here's the thing. I'm not saying it's wrong. I really don't. At this point, I completely understand where you're coming from. I just think if given the opportunity, if he said, like, I don't really want to jive with Hogan, to be honest with you, and he could say, I would think he would have the flexibility to be able to go to, like, Vince or whoever is booking the show and just be like, hey, I don't want to be on this team, quite honestly. I don't want anything to do with him. I don't want anything associated with him. And they'd understand. Just like if they managed it, let's say they decided, okay, Kofi loses the belt. Now Hulk Hogan's recruiting, Kofi to Team Hogan. I'm assuming Kofi could be like, nah, I'm good. Like, actually, no. But that's what I'm assuming. But you know what? I don't want to make this a bigger deal than it is because at the end...
People were making this a big deal And again, you're right, Mills. He could say no. He didn't though. So now
Yeah, he didn't say no because he's posing with the guy and doing all the arm flexes and all the other shit.
Like let's keep kayfabe in real life. I don't think Seth is going to get drinks with Hogan after the show.
Yeah, I don't think we should crucify Seth Rollins for this decision that's obviously made kayfabe wise, and it's really just for this entire show.
I keep saying like, not my goat, he should. How embarrassing! Look at I'm just like, y'all ain't never had a job in your life. Just saying that shit. Like Hollywood took Mel Gibson back. He was back directing shit.
Right, and you know who controls Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, you know what? I'm not particularly mad about it. It was announced on Raw that at the Crown Jewel pay-per-view on October 31st. That is Halloween. That is Halloween, baby. So
that ensures that I will not be watching it.
Oh yeah, easily. First of all, it's a Thursday. It's just weird. Second of all, so they announced on the show during that Miz TV segment that it will be Team Hogan versus Team Flair. Thus far, Team Hogan has drafted the aforementioned Seth Rollins and Rusev, and they will be going against Team Flair, who is thus far Randy Orton and King Corbin. Two peas in a pod, quite honestly. So yeah, I mean, we have that to look forward to. We have a lot more Hulk Hogan to look forward to over the next month or so. We have a lot more Ric Flair to look forward to over the next month or so. So I would say just stay ready. How is all this supposed to be prepared during this this whole brand split Fox USA deal where they have inter-brand relationships? Fuck if I know.
It's weird because if they're just running people like special guests or people from Raw, that's gonna be a weird 5-on-5.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they seem to be going away from it, and this is post-draft.
Yes.
So I would not imagine that unless they kind of get them in through like a 30-day grace period like they did with that Backlash. Remember that WrestleMania Backlash?
Right. That Backlash thing, yeah, where all the titles meant a bit more who's going on what side, and Jeff Hardy's and Miz's and all this other stuff. I remember that. But yes, I would appreciate if WWE made things a lot less confusing and would take their time, quite honestly. Book the Hell in a Cell card. Worry about Crown Jewel after Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell is literally 5 days away. I think we can wait.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm very much intrigued in both. Honestly, like the crazy thing is I'm still going to watch the show because, the women's match looks amazing. I want to see what happens with The Fiend. Like, The Fiend is like must-see TV at this point, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to watch the show regardless. I'm just like, what else are we going to get?
This is true. Also happened on Raw. AJ Styles and Cedric Alexander have a banger, but where do both go from here? These two have had consistently great matches, but in all matches, AJ Styles has won, and pretty handsomely. Even last time, I think it was
clean.
At the kickoff show. Yes, he won this episode clean, but at the kickoff show, I think he legitimately squashed. Not like I wouldn't say squash. Don't say squash. Very definitively defeated Cedric Alexander.
Yeah, he just didn't have his number. I think that was the talking point. Well, actually, before we get into this, how do you feel about the new announce team?
You know what? I thought I would hate it more, but I don't hate it as much as I thought I would.
A lot of people were kind of shitting on Dio Madden, and I was like, you know what? I liked him on 205.
He's still new. He's still very new.
Yeah, still new. I can't judge him until it's 6. Again, I give him 6 months.
Yeah, for him to be the voice of Raw,
a black man.
Yeah, and to really only have started commentating maybe like a month and a half ago, he's doing well enough for himself, and I'm sure he'll ease into the position, and I'm sure they'll allow for a lot. There was a lot of moving parts on this particular Raw. That I think, what's my man's name? Vic Joseph just kind of picked up, and King, who's a pro at this for the last 25, who's just been announcing Raw since Raw has actually started.
Bro, I actually thought King did a really good job on Monday. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, he did.
Because at first I was like a little bit too much King, but then I understood what they were doing. They were threading King through those two because they're new.
Yeah.
They've seemed really tentative in the first hour. By hour 2, Vic had it, and by hour 3, Dio was on point. And you know what? I thought that they did a really good job, as well as they could have done on that Monday. You got to give them a chance, and I really do like the pairing. I love that it's new.
Yeah,
that's what I really appreciate.
I agree.
But back to Cedric and AJ. I said this last night. Cedric's been giving AJ some of his best matches, and I think that's cool. Even if I don't like the outcomes of the matches, I think the fact that Cedric and AJ are just having bangers, you can't be upset at that. Like, again, like, this match to me was nearing a 4-star match. Like, I thought it was really good. Give it like 2 or 3 more minutes and it would have been fire.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what you do from here. I guess you don't need to put the United States Championship on Cedric, to be honest with you.
No, we're past that. I don't think that's happening.
But I think a couple more meaningful wins wouldn't hurt. I mean, he's proved to be. I think he's garnered the support of the crowd within the few moments that he's had on television against AJ Styles, and he's really made the people believe, similar to how people believed in the Cruiserweight Classic, and how people believed in him on 205 Live, and how people believed in him when he first started on Raw. And I think, considering moving forward as sort of Paul Heyman's Raw, I think he's really someone who should be should be an attraction in a few more places, if you know what I mean. I think he's a great hand, great talent, and yeah, we need to move forward a little bit more. Cedric Alexander. I hope this isn't the end for him, is what I'm saying.
I don't think so. I think that, again, it's really weird because you have like two people like him and Ricochet who are kind of on the same level, kind of.
Yeah.
But it's clear they want to push one more than the other, and that's clearly Ricochet. They want to push more than Cedric, so it's like you can't have Cedric beat the guy that Ricochet couldn't beat, because then it has to be Ricochet Cedric. You know, like, it's weird. It's a very weird dichotomy, I think, on the top of the card here. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. But again, like, to me, Raw feels like a newer shit. Like, it's been reset so many times this year. It's like the 4th reset this year. But to me, this is the most meaningful one because we have a show that, and honestly, I think this show is going to be more focused on the younger talent than SmackDown will be in the next couple months.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like the B show as of right now. And that's okay, because Monday Night Raw it's a legacy brand. It's still prestige. People are still going to tune into Monday Night Raw and put their eyes on a whole bunch of people. And speaking of eyes, I have to say this. We're gonna talk about the closing segment of Monday Night Raw. Originally, Seth Rollins versus Rusev for the Universal Championship.
Random. Because Rusev is also on Team Hogan. Random.
Yeah, very random. But whatever. Rusev Day. I'm here for it. Thus far, a clip that has estimated, it hasn't been 24 hours yet. It has gotten 2 million views on YouTube. 2 million. Lashley made his major return to Monday Night Raw. And he did not come alone. You like
a double entendre?
Yeah. Okay. Oh wow, that's gross.
Don't even ask.
I thought we were doing something new after episode 100. But he did not come along. He motioned, and YouTube does a great way of editing this, because he motioned a lot longer than it took for Lana to actually come out. He had to motion like 3 times. He was like, okay, all right, well, here he is. Lana comes out. The questions of where's Lana has been answered. And Raw is cuck. Raw is cuckold.
Yeah.
The ending of Raw, Bobby Lashley making out with Lana in front of Rusev. Rusev's actual wife making out with an actual married man in front of their... This is very strange. But Lana seems to be into it. She seems to be like, yes, we're finally doing something.
Hey, man, listen,
they've been trying to break them up for 5 years.
Like, and they're doing it again.
Like, you understand? They've been trying to break them up for 5 years. Since that SummerSlam program with Ziggler, which I thought would have actually been a good look. But then it got kind of sidetracked and ruined once Lana went to TMZ. I don't know if she went to TMZ. Let me not say that. But it appeared that she went to TMZ, or at least appeared that whatever, and announced that Rusev and her were engaged, with kind of like retcons the storyline just in general. But they've been trying to break them up, trying to separate them for years. This is kind of a way to do it. I don't know what's going to happen. How did you feel? How did you feel?
Well, I saw this later than everybody, so I knew what happened while I was watching the show. I thought the actual story came out of nowhere, like absolutely came out of nowhere, and that's what I didn't like, because Rusev had no arc last week.
Well, they asked earlier in the evening. I think there was an interview.
That's what I'm saying. Like they didn't say anything about Lana last week.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Yeah, they didn't say anything about her. So this week it was like, he's got like even Maria was like, he's got problems at home, and I was like, does he? It wasn't even hinted at on Instagram or anything like that. So I thought that was really weird. But I thought in terms of like, here's my thing. Like everyone that they've said that WWE's underutilized or hasn't done anything with, they're doing things with, even to the expense of people that they were doing a lot with, like Ricochet.
Yeah.
They've moved a lot of those people to the side and given them less camera time to give camera time to the people that people, love, quote unquote, and want things done with, and people still shit on it.
Yeah.
It's like, how else do you introduce Rusev other than making him a crowd favorite by making his wife cheat on him?
This is true. Now he's
This is going to make him exactly. He's a sympathetic face, which he's never really like he's kind of been able to do. But it's like last time he did that, he was next to Aiden English, who was like not the no one looked at Aiden English as like a really good face to be next to anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to me, just a moment at the end of Raw. It's a moment that we haven't really seen in quite some time, to be honest with you. I don't think we've had that kind of like shock ending to Monday Night Raw in quite some time. In terms of just like man, woman, the betrayal. Very Lita and Edge-esque. Kind of ending to Raw. Lana's playing her role. She seems to be very into it and very engaged. Rusev looks completely heartbroken. Lashley looks like, oh boy,
robotic. And Seth is like, I'm glad this isn't me.
And Randy and Corbin are like, yo. Randy
they
and
had
Corbin
a lot of people out there for that angle. It was very Paul Heyman-esque.
Randy and Corbin are me. It's a mood. That's me.
Randy and Corbin are us, honestly.
We are them, and that is exactly how we would have reacted to the entire thing. It parlays into the final segment where I guess the Fiend rushes down after he sees his 1058, and shoves his hand in Seth Rollins' mouth, and that is the end of Raw. I mean, it is
good build.
It leads us. Well, it doesn't actually lead us. We have a little detour to Friday Night SmackDown. One question about Friday Night SmackDown. We're previewing it thus far. We have a big tag match. We have a big ladder match. We might have to do predictions for that, considering there's no fucking things. There's no things on this card.
My pie in the sky predictions. Shane's gone. I think it was Chris Novak that had a really good idea that with Shane gone, that leaves the runway open for Bischoff to take over the show. And I was just like, well, that seems to be. I didn't even think about that, but that seems to be what's about to happen here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at it. And you know what? I think they want to step away from the
GMs.
Yeah, and just the authority figures as well, which I think they've been doing a lot well. It, quite honestly, much better than authoritative figures making matches on Raw is them announcing stuff via social media and people actually getting excited for that. So I don't really think there's a necessarily need for it, other than if you need a kind of an out for a major storyline, that could be it. But yeah, we'll see. I also think Shane McMahon will be out. But in terms of the WWE Championship match, the most anticipated WWE Championship match of the year since Bryan Kofi, who's taking it home?
There's going to be some chicanery going on. It's really hard for me to judge what's going to happen. I don't think he's going to lose the title on Friday.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think the long-term feud is going to be Kofi and Brock. I just think Brock will be in his own orbit. You don't want to have Brock with the belt part-time anyway. He's not going to be there every week.
Nor do you want to just give him the belt just to have him lose the belt really quickly.
Exactly, just like they just did this summer.
Nor do you want to give him the belt and on your network television show you just don't have a champion for some odd months, unless you're like paying for Brock every week.
Exactly, and they're not going to do that, even if they do have $1 billion. Because again, we're thinking Survivor Series, right?
Yeah.
So like if that's the idea, I still say if you have Kofi lose it down the line, it can be to Brock, and then you can still do Brock Fiend or Brock. You just don't want to do Brock Seth again. And I don't know if you want to do Kofi Seth again, but I think that'd be a great match. I think they could both get something out of each other. So It's really interesting, Mills. I really don't know where they go here. That's a big reason why I'm going to be watching on Friday night.
Yeah, I'm gonna be interested, and my eyes are locked on what's gonna happen on Friday night. It's the biggest.
And I'm gonna have to watch that show after, like, way after you guys, because it's airing at 5 o'clock my time, or on the East Coast, and that's not gonna air for us until 8. So I gotta, like, stay off of Twitter for the whole night.
Yeah, you definitely got to. That's Friday Night SmackDown. Make sure you look forward to that. It's the network premiere. We're going to be anticipating. We're going to talk about it next week when we get on the show. And a whole bunch of other things. And one thing that we will also be talking about next week is Hell in a Cell, which, to my knowledge, I've checked the tweets. I've checked WWE's feed. Still 3 matches. Nothing.
So as of 1 p.m. on Tuesday.
Yes, 1 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday.
Yeah. 3 matches.
We have 3 matches. The match that we got thus far: Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns versus Eric Rowan and Luke Harper. A great tag team match, if I don't say so myself. I'm glad there's no tag team titles on the line. Let's not make something at the expense of something else. But it's gonna be a great match. And do you think Daniel Bryan, just now, he's just a full face again, just full?
I'm skeptical, but I don't think this will be the show where he turns on Roman. I do think we're still going to get that feud, though.
Interesting. I think for Fox, I don't know. I keep thinking for Fox, but I'm also trying to think of a network. Is it the worst thing to have Daniel Bryan as a face again? Especially if you want to, like, you're trying to figure out, like, what do we do after Kofi? And you got right. Roman. Are you going to give it back to Roman? You're not sure yet. Daniel Bryan is a pretty safe face that people are always behind, and you just kind of, now after the brand split, you just kind of shake up the rosters and present some new heels for him to face. So who knows? I'm picking I'm gonna go with Rowan and Harper. I'm gonna go with the oddball pick and pick Rowan and Harper. I think to get them over as a tag team, they need to win this match.
Yeah, they booked them very imposing too. I think just the fact that they beat the hell out of Bryan a couple of weeks ago, and Roman every single week, is, it's very telling as to, like, how the way they're booking them. I don't mind the team at all, but again, it's like, after the fact, is this going to be the team? I think they fall into the same issue that I'm seeing with the Viking Raiders, where it's like, you have this big dominant team. It's like, why don't they just have the belt already?
Right? Yeah, 100%. The next match, Hell in a Cell. We have Becky Lynn defending her Raw Women's Championship against Sasha Banks in Hell in a Cell. This has been a feud that we've been slightly critical of. We thought it could have turned up a little bit. The dial should have been turned up a little bit more heading into Hell in a Cell, but we were here. Who's taking home the Raw Women's Championship?
I would have said this match was gonna close the show if it hadn't been for the Fiend taking over. Like, the Fiend is like he is really, surpassed a lot of, like, media mainstream attention. Like, he's bigger than I ever thought he was. Like, have you been seeing how they've been interspersing him into all the Fox advertisements?
Yeah.
Like, it's really cool. So, like, I would have thought that this match would have been the one, but it's not. Like, I am still the most excited for this match. I still think that there's a lot in ring that they didn't get to do last month that they can do here. I think Sasha does deliver in these big gimmick matches, as she always does.
Right.
And Becky seems to be more energized and kind of, electrified since Sasha did come back. So I think it's time for Becky to lose. I think Becky needs to face some adversity. My only issue is that, like, after Sasha, and I know this feud is going to go for a couple months, but it's like, after Sasha, it's like, who's next for Becky? And that's my biggest problem there, is that, like, there isn't really anyone on Raw for her.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want her with Natty. I don't want her with Lacey Evans again. I'm hoping Ruby Riott comes back, or I hope that,
Nia
Shayna Baszler.
Nia Jax comes and lays a punch in her or something like that. Honestly, I think in this situation, I think I'm gonna go with Becky Lynch retaining.
Wow.
It's weird, but I'm gonna go with Becky Lynch retaining. I just have this feeling about it. I don't know. It's just I don't feel like Sasha Banks is taking it home. To me, it hasn't looked like they're making that sort of the way this angle has been, like, plateauing and shifting and moving and peaking and valleying. It doesn't really seem like they have a certain lock on, like, okay, Sasha Banks is taking this home. It seems like, okay, let's finish out this feud and let's figure out what we're gonna do for the next month. So
it is kind of weird, but if she loses, it's like, what's the point of her coming back? Like, what's the long term play here? People are going to be very upset.
yeah, I agree. I agree. The Sasha Banks fans will be upset. Shout out to those people. But yeah, I'm gonna pick Becky Lynch. I think Becky Lynch is gonna win. I don't know. I just have a feeling about it. And then we have the main event where Seth Rollins is defending his Universal Championship against The Fiend Bray Wyatt. Thus far, Seth Rollins hasn't been able to get a lock on The Fiend. He is very much so trying to anticipate how he's going to battle this feud. It is the one match where I guess his most, greatest skill, which is wrestling, it doesn't come into play. Yeah, it kind of doesn't come into play when you have all the mind games of The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. So what do you do? What do you do if Seth Rollins wins, you have The Fiend as Universal Champion, which isn't the worst thing on earth.
You mean if he loses?
Yeah. If he loses, you have The Fiend as WWE Champion, which isn't the worst thing on earth. But if you have Seth Rollins win, how does The Fiend lose?
It's also Hell in a Cell, so there's no DQs.
Yeah.
So,
but that hasn't stopped Hell in a Cell matches from being ruined by various people before. Kane,
right?
Also, Bray Wyatt. Like, it's it's a recurring thing. How do you feel about this feud going into it?
I really like the feud. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like the feud a lot.
I wish they carried it through October more. It's got kind of a spooky vibe.
Yeah, it does, and I like it for the promotion for Hell in a Cell, because obviously, like, the look of Hell in a Cell is always like this hellacious, demonic type things. I really like the feud. I don't think this match goes very long though. For a Hell in a Cell match, I don't think it goes long. It's not gonna be like long as the Sasha Becky match for sure.
No, you know what? I think we're gonna see Bray Wyatt puts his limit. I think Seth Rollins is gonna start figuring out a scheme of how we get there, and then I think eventually Bray Wyatt cuts that off immediately. I'm gonna go with Bray Wyatt wins this match. I'm going to go with Bray Wyatt wins this match. I'm going to say Kofi Kingston retains whatever title, and that is what we're getting for the Survivor Series match.
I'm going to go with no one wins.
That's unfortunate.
I'm going to go with nobody wins. I'm going to go with some BS, or someone's going to. If Seth loses, that'll be really weird, but I'm going to sit tight and go with nobody wins.
A no contest in Hell in a Cell. It's not that it hasn't been done before, but I think it would be a weird way to end a pay-per-view. Nonetheless,
this is a pay-per-view that has 3 matches.
Yeah, so obviously they, this is how they feel about the entire thing.
Exactly.
We don't have any hot takes this week, unfortunately, due to sort of the nature of the show and how quick we're doing it and how we're getting in, getting out. We wanted to provide you guys with a show this week, despite, Justin going to Orlando, everything kind of changing, SmackDown appearing on Fridays. It's kind of been a shift week, so there will be no hot takes this week. But if you want to continue to submit hot takes, make sure you hit to the link that is in the description of this podcast, and you can continue to follow a lot of things. Follow our podcast. Make sure you check out the War Room as well. The War Report. Sorry, is it the War Report?
It's the War Report. Yes,
it's the War Report. Check out the War Report. And just continue to stay tuned to various things on RNC Radio. We had a big week this week. We had So Help Me God, which dropped yesterday.
Dropped yesterday
with Pat and Justin. We also had RSPN, which dropped yesterday with Mark and Jeff. On Monday, we had Spot Callers again with MJ and Cyrus. You can catch those both on the War Report coming up pretty soon. We also had this week, actually coming up, we have a new episode of Mount Silver. If you're continuing following our journey, figuring out the various generations of Pokemon. We're talking about the 5th gen, Pokemon Black and White and Pokemon Black and White 2, which is it is what I'll say this, it is the last good Pokemon game. But we have that as well, and we have a lot more things coming up on RNC. What else do we have coming this week?
I can say what we got coming next week.
Ooh, talk about it.
Me and Pat Kafifi we are doing a special limited series in celebration of the new Breaking Bad movie El Camino, dropping next Friday on October 11th. It's called The Road to El Camino. We will be reviewing, or not reviewing, but talking about our top 5 favorite Breaking Bad episodes from all the seasons. We've kind of scoured and argued about the top 5 for days before we finally put the recordings out, and we're really, really proud of it. We sat one day and we knocked out like 3 episodes, and it's going to sound really great. And by the time the next week's A show comes out, we'll be on our like 3rd episode. So check that out next week.
Make sure you check out all the things and follow RNC Radio Live. You can also check out our new playlist with RNG Mode. That's Rise and Grind. A workout playlist curated by me. So if you're an adrenaline junkie like me who likes going to the gym every other day or so, this is a playlist for you to continue to get that pump in. We also have the new RNC Radio Live playlist and the R&B and RNC playlist, both dedicated to New Music Month on RNC. You can catch a whole bunch of new acts featured on that. We'll have a couple other playlists coming up this month as well. Make sure you stay tuned. I'm really trying to push Jeff to finish that Blush 4 playlist because he has been caressing that for quite some time, and I know that people want to hear it, so I'm trying to get that out there as well. And we got so much more coming out. We got a lot of fun things, so make sure you stay tuned to RNC Radio Live. Make sure you follow the A Show feed, and make sure you check out NXT tonight, just in case you might see Justin. I don't know, whatever, and take a
you'll see
take a super kick. Who knows? I don't know.
Oh wow, that'd be amazing. I'm not taking any bumps. I wear glasses.
Would you super kick a man with glasses? That is the question.
Hell no.
We should end with on this podcast. This is Meals TV signing off, also with OG Johnny 5. My sign-off thing, man, it's a sad Rusev day, but also my champion is still black. Maybe for now.
Yeah, until next week.
Until next week.